Welcome. You're bringing your one-man show that you wrote for yourself, Tennessee Rising, into P-Town for the Tennessee Williams Festival this fall. So can we start by asking you, in your own words, without giving it all away, what the play's about?
Well, it's basically about these kind of unknown years of young Tennessee Williams from 1939 to 1945. So it's right on the cusp of him becoming Tennessee Williams.
Mhm,
So these 6 years are very crucial because he meets all these people that will go on to inspire his major characters, and he has a lot of very profound life experiences in this small amount of time that will influence him for the rest of his life. So I realized this period had never been really dramatized before.
mhm,
So there was a big, lane for me to explore that, which was very
mhm.
exciting.
Am I right in thinking that was when he was here in Provincetown?
Yes, it covers his first trip to Provincetown.
Because one of the other plays in this festival is Something Clear, I think it's called, which is about his love
How did
affair.
something clear?
Which is about which interesting enough, which is nothing to do with you, was written like 50 years after the time, which is I'm really impressed because I have no memory at all. So what motivated you to write this?
Well, it's kind of a strange story, actually. I was not even really into Tennessee Williams necessarily. I had seen the film of A Streetcar Named Desire and really loved it, but it wasn't until I was living in New York. I'm from Portland, Oregon. So I moved when I was 18 to go to Conservatory, New York. So after I graduated, I was doing a play off Broadway, and my high school in Portland, Oregon called me out of the blue and said, "We want you to give a speech at our scholarship fundraiser," which I had been a recipient of when I was
Mhm,
at the school. So I was very happy to do that. The show that I was rehearsing for let me leave for a week
mhm,
and do this speech. But the strange thing was, when I was in Portland, my middle school, which was an arts public magnet school, which is very unusual, that I was very lucky to go to, where I really started to take performing seriously,
mhm.
they knew I was in town and they were doing a fundraiser also. And it was a screening of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof that was organized by Elizabeth Taylor's granddaughter, who was a parent at the school at that time.
This is getting complicated.
Well,
It's okay, go on.
this is the short version.
Yeah,
So,
no, fine.
um, they asked me to sing Happy Birthday to Elizabeth Taylor's Ghost and introduce the screening of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which I had never seen before. And I was so inspired by that, I wanted to learn more about Tennessee Williams. So the next day, I went to Powell's Books, which is a very large, famous bookstore in Portland. And Tennessee's memoir was on display right in the front, like in the lobby. And there was a photo of him on the memoir of him as a young man. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize there was a
He was
physical
young.
resemblance as well.
Mhm,
And then I read the memoir and I just felt so inspired by him and connected to him. And that's kind of where it all began.
mhm. Well, Jacob, what did you do? And do you fall in love with the work or the man?
Well, honestly, like I said, I'd only seen Streetcar and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof really at that point. But reading his memoir, I fell in love with the man
Mhm.
and his love of humanity and his kind of take on the world. I felt was very similar to mine. But then as I kind of set out to write it and researched more, read his letters, read his journal, read all of his plays, going back to his memoir, I realized there was a lot of things in his memoir that he didn't really want to talk about, and he kind of glossed over, or he changed the story completely in some senses. So this period, this 6 years that I focus on, he really doesn't talk about at all in his memoir. So that's when I realized even more so, oh, this period of his life needs to be examined and explored because it's so crucial.
Aside from that, what's the biggest thing you learned about him doing your research?
Biggest thing I learned about him. Hmm. Well, I think one of the really interesting things that is very inspiring and also very daunting is that he, for one,
Mm.
wrote every single day of his life, no matter how hungover he was from the night before. And he would get up every day early in the morning, write for hours, go swim, come back and write more, and then, enjoy the rest of his day in whatever way he wanted to. But he actually never stopped revising his plays
Really?
throughout his entire life, even his major plays, like he would call them his operas, like Streetcar and Cat on a Haunted Roof. He kept revising them until the very end, which is so inspiring. I mean, he was never satisfied, which is very interesting. I'm not aware of any other major
No.
playwright that did that.
Especially when you think of the volume of work and when you get involved in a festival like this, you realize that it's much bigger than you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
Why did you want to write this as a vehicle for you to perform?
Well, honestly, like I said, I didn't know anything about him. I saw Ken on a Hutton Roof, met Elizabeth Taylor's granddaughter, and wanted to learn more about him. But I didn't realize until I saw that cover on his memoir that we looked physically similar, like we could be
Mm,
related brothers or cousins or something. So it wasn't until I saw his memoir that I was like, oh, I have to portray him.
mm,
That wasn't something I had planned at all. So.
mm. And we just spoke earlier, the main production, because you've done this for a couple of times now, was directed by one of my Englishmen, a Scottishman, Alan Cumming. Was that a good experience for you? Of course, you're going to say yes, but was it a good experience?
Oh, it was amazing. It
Hmm.
was a dream come true. I've just been so inspired by Alan as well for as far back as I can remember. So getting to work with him, we worked on the show over a period of 6 months,
Yeah.
and he really just went through the script with me. He was also like my dramaturge, so we really picked it apart, and he had me add some more to it and put even more of myself into it, which
Mhm.
was very exciting because I had done it a few times on my own before he became involved, and I had won an award for it. So I had some success before he came around, but having him kind of give me the permission to, make it even more my own and put
Mhm.
even myself into it was really powerful.
To me, it's really good to see a piece of queer history performed by an all queer crew. Was that important to you?
Well, I didn't plan on Alan becoming involved, but I'm really happy he did, and it just kind of worked out that way. So, it all has divine timing and divine purpose, so
Okay.
it's the way it was supposed to be.
Oh, let's move on. So, when it comes to Provincetown, are you a Provincetown virgin?
No, I have been there once before for the festival, the Tennessee Williams Festival in 2019. I wasn't performing my play, but I was performing in the festival, so that was my first time.
So we always say to people that when you come to the town, you fall in love, either with the place or a person or both. I won't ask you what you happened to you. Um, is there a journey for the play after Provincetown?
Oh, yes. Provincetown is one stop on a tour that I'm doing. So I'm going
Mhm.
to be in Little Rock right before Provincetown on September 19th for the Akansa Festival, which is the Festival of the Arts
Mhm.
in Arkansas, and then P-Town, and then the Intimate Theater in Seattle, November 5th through 8th, and the Forbes Center for the Performing Arts at James Madison University on November 21st. And then more to come, but yet to be announced.
You didn't like to plan it next door to each other. You want to go opposite the city, the country each day.
Well, I can't
I know,
totally pick and choose, but it
I know.
is what it is.
So before we wrap up, so you've got the bug now for Williams. Have you been tempted to go back in the past of other queer history giants?
I've been toying with a Gore Vidal show,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be very interesting. I've also adapted my play into a television series, So that's what I am really hoping is the next genesis of this Tennessee Williams journey, because he's never been, dramatized on screen before. And so I think this would be a really great opportunity for that. So that's what I'm manifesting.
So we have a global audience here. We're into 50 different countries. So if there's any television executives working out there looking at reading this, you know where to reach us. It's been
Yes.
great talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you very soon in Provincetown.
Thank you, Roger. Me
Take
too.
care.
I returned to New York and submitted my rewrite of Battle of Angels to the Theatre Guild. They told me I rewrote it too much, so there will be no production next season. My brief episode with the Guild brought me within spitting distance of the bitch goddess known as success, only to be yanked back into the obscurity I sprang from, much to the delight of my blue devils who taunt me with their incessant voices of fear and doubt. They want me to lose. They seem to be winning. So we beginneth yet another phase in this mad pilgrimage of mine. This phase seems to be the most frightening yet. I have no new plays. My revision was rejected. I have less than $300 in total funds, and I am exhausted and bitter. I admit it. I've invested more into my sexual life than into my creative life. I have a new love every night. No one stays. I have made a new friend and a genuine sophisticate, though, named Paul Bigelow. He's a very charming and brilliant companion, but no sex. Just love of the spirit. I don't know about you, but we're all trying to eke out some kind of life for ourselves here as the war continues its distant rage.